Hi class, and this is a little intro video for Math 96 online, summer 2015. I wanted to just introduce myself, introduce the class, and help you get started. So what I have up here right now is the syllabus, and I'm not going to go over the whole thing. You can read through it, but I do want to just highlight some of the key points and help you get started. So here's my email if you want to email me. This is my office phone number, but since this is an online class, I probably won't be in my office very much this summer. Now, one thing that you do want to make sure that you pay attention to before you start the class is that this class is going to require a lot of your time for these next 8 weeks. It is almost a full-time job just keeping up with the work. Maybe not quite a full-time job, but pretty close. It's a 5-unit class. It's very fast-paced since it runs twice as fast, and there's a lot of material that you need to keep up with. So make sure that as you work through the weeks, you don't try to leave everything for the last minute, because it will easily overwhelm you. So the best thing to do is do something every day, at least every 2 days, so that you don't fall behind. Now, you can read through that. The textbook, you'll notice that there are 2 options online. You can either buy any one of the 2 textbooks. There's one that's more expensive that includes a physical textbook. The less expensive one just gives you access to the online homework system, which I'll show you in a minute. Or you can just buy it online here. So why don't I do that since we're here. To get set up, we aren't going to use Blackboard really at all. Almost everything we do is going to be through Course Compass. That's where you do the homework, and I'll show you the discussion board in a little bit. So if you go to coursecompass.com, I guess that link doesn't work, but it's right here. Now what you're going to want to do is actually, that's not where you register. Okay, so you'll see this page. Since you're just starting, so you're going to register here under a student, and you need the course ID. Now the course ID, I wrote it down. Where did I write it down? Oh, I put it right here. And actually I have this student registration handout which also includes the course ID. So that's what you need. All the steps are right here, and it's actually very simple. But you put it in, and you can either sign in with your Pearson account. I'm going to make one just for fun. If you already have one, you can put in your information here. Actually, if you took Math 46 at City College and you already have an account, your Math 46 textbook includes access to Math 96 as well, because it's the same book. But here, make sure you have the right class. And here I'm going to make something up. And here, I'll just use that, sure. And here we'll create our account, so you can make sure you have your correct name on there. That's important. Now here, okay, so this is important. Here you want to, if you bought your book at the bookstore, here you would put in the access code. It would come with a little folder, and you would put your access code in here. You can buy it with a credit card for $91, which I guess is a little bit cheaper than what the bookstore charges. But even if you can't afford it right away, you can get temporary access without payment for 14 days. So everybody needs to at least do this. And this will give you access to the class, even if you can't pay for it quite yet. Okay, so now let's go here to my class. So here it'll tell you when it expires. So even if you're not sure if you can handle the class, you can always do this and get started. Now, when I click on this, let me just kind of show you around. This is exactly the view that you would get. Here, under the homework, is all the homework for the semester. Now here is the homework, and here are the quizzes and tests. But actually, I'm just going to hit show all so that you can see everything here. Now, you'll notice that the homeworks do not have any due dates. That's to give you flexibility during the week for you to do your homework when you think is best, but of course do not leave it until the end of the week. All of the quizzes will be due on Mondays every week. So the very first one is due June 22nd. So that's the first Monday of the week. But all of these need to be completed before you do the Chapter 7 quiz. Also highly recommended that you complete the review. Now here you'll see these little flags. This one, for example, says you must score at least 80% on the orientation homework before working on any remaining attempts on this assignment. So all of these have prerequisites. So you need to complete the section before so that you can move on to the next section. Now, the chapter quizzes, you get 2 attempts, and you'll notice it doesn't have a green flag. So you don't have to, although it would be silly to do so, but you don't have to complete all of the homework before you take your quiz. But if you want to do the second attempt, you do need to complete the Chapter 7 review for the quiz. And here it tells you how much time you have. And so here's the other assignments. If you go to the next page, you have the next assignment. So you'll notice every week you have a quiz due, except for this. Notice Chapter 11 does not have a quiz. That's because your midterm is that week, your on-campus midterm. So I'll send you more details about that later, and there's more details about that on the syllabus. But that's to help you prepare for the final exam. And then you keep going here, Chapter 12, Chapter 13. Notice the due date. So every Monday night you have a quiz due, and all that homework is due as well. Now, if you start the homework and you want to improve your grade, you can always go back and do that. And I highly recommend that you do that as well. Here you have the study plan, which also is recommended that you do to practice on your own. That'll update as you complete more homework and quizzes. And then under the grade book, you can see your current grade. Obviously, I don't have anything here right now, but this will show your overall grade in the class. Now here under chapter contents is the book. You can see the different chapters. Here we pretty much review chapter 6 real quick because it's very important. It's on factoring. But we really started chapter 7, and even that's a review, but it's very important. So chapter 7, chapter 8, and you can click here on any section you want, and you can read watch a video and then click on multimedia e-text for the textbook. And make sure that you have Flash installed for this to work, although I believe it works on an iPad as well. So that's the textbook. And what else can I show you? Multimedia libraries. Now here the discussion So we are not going to use this discussion. The reason why is I've used it in the past. It is not very good. So we are actually going to use, it's called Piazza. I wrote it down over here on the syllabus discussion boards. So Piazza is great. You already received an email on registering for Piazza, and that's where we will have all our discussions. Let me show that to you right now. So right here, all I have is introduce yourself to the class, but as we go forward, you can post questions here. Notice it has this nice little equation editor button to put in math. You can put links. You can add screenshots. So let me show you something actually that would be good for you to do. Let's say, let me go back here. Let's say you're working on a homework, and I don't know if all of you know how to take screenshots, but if you don't, I highly encourage you to, you can Google, for example, how to take a screenshot. But for example, let's say you're doing this problem and you're having trouble with this question. What you can do is you can take a screenshot of it, for example. So I like using this program actually. It's called Sketch, and I'm not sure if it's for Mac and Windows, but for sure they have it for the Mac. It's free. But what you can do is, oh, I have a problem with this question, and you can attach this on here. You can, for example, insert an image, and I believe I can just drag it in here like that. No. Okay, well, I'll do this. I'll put it on my desktop, and I will choose it here. And this will attach it on here, and then you can ask a question about it. And oh, I'm stuck here, and I am describing my problem below. So of course, make sure you describe what issues you're having. Also, you can take a picture of your work, for example, with your phone, and then insert it here as well. So that's an option. And so I won't post it actually because it'll clog it up. But that should be very useful to you. And I will come on here every day and answer questions, and I encourage you to answer questions from your classmates as well. Okay, so there's that. Now, we already talked about the quizzes. The midterm, there's going to be an on-campus midterm exam that you're going to take in the Math Center. This is to help you prepare for the final exam, which is on campus. And the final, make sure that you notice you need to get at least a 60% on the final to be eligible to pass the class. So this is a limit that the math department places to help prevent cheating on the class. And so it's very important that as you're taking the class, you don't just go through by clicking the ask me how or help me solve this button through the whole semester. So you want to make sure that you understand what you're doing for all these. And although you can hit view an example, you don't want to do this for every single problem because it's a very, very difficult way to get through the class. Okay. Now the calculators, this is another thing where you won't have a calculator for the on-campus final. And so I would highly recommend that you don't use a calculator in the class. There might be a couple of questions on the homework that might require you to use a calculator, but for the most part, calculators are not used in the class. And you won't have one for the final exam. So make sure you're comfortable with that one. Another thing is to get help in the class. You can, of course, go to Piazza, but there's also the Math Center. If you're on campus during the summer, you can go to the Math Center in L208. They'll help you. You can get tutoring, drop-in tutoring at the Tutorial Center in L205. And actually, they have in the Tutorial Center, they also have online tutoring. And I believe they have that on their website, which I put over here on how to get help. The same exact website. So encourage you to try that out as well. Okay, so I hope that helps you get started on the class, and I'll see you on the discussion forums.